looking at Unix programming, and we're going to talk about pipelining. Now, really, I want to show you immediately how to connect to a computer on Lay, for example. So I would type like this: PUTTY, and this gives me a terminal. And I have to type LNAP and open. And I have to accept this. And now ask me for my password, my username, I should say. I'll make it bigger, just a minute. And it's thinking. I don't know, it always takes a long time for it to think here. While it's thinking, I'll change the size, change settings. And I go over here and I say appearance. And I'll make the font size bigger, like 18. And okay. And I'll also make the colors different. That's colors. Foreground is the letters that you want to put. So the letters should be black. So let's change this to black. I don't know, I have to do this every time. And the text, that's the foreground, that's the letters. The background color should be white. I'll choose this. Okay, apply. And now I gotta, is that easier to read? Is it big enough?
Bigger, please.
Try to make it bigger, yeah.
That's good, thank you.
Let's see here. It gets too big for my lines.
This is screen is just blur in case the shape should be black.
Change settings. Appearance. That's 18. I can make it 22. Okay, that's a bit bigger. All right, so what is pipelining? For example, let's start with some commands like this. I can do a very simple command like echo A, B, C. Do you know what that does? I think we learned this last time.
Echo 3 to 5.
No.
Echo
Print back.
When you print back, and it was like, hello, but you can echo
A, B, C, and then it prints the ABC. Now, there's something called a pipe or a pipeline or pipelining, which is a very powerful tool in Linux. And the idea is that you have small commands that you can combine them together. So for example, here, I can do a command like this. Echo ABC, and then I say pipe cut. Cut is a command that cuts the data that's coming in into, it treats it as column, let's say. So for example, I'm going to say cut, and then my minus D means the delimiter. Delimiter means what delimits, what puts a limit, what delimits the different fields. So for example, here I'm saying a space, because A is separated from B by a space, and C also. So I'm going to say like this, print. First of all, treat the delimiter as space, and then print minus F field, F stands for field, print fields 1 and 3.
Is that a comma?
That's a comma there. 1 and 3 means like that. If I would say 1 and 3 and 2, it would print everything. And notice that the order is not changed. It's still going to be ABC. If I just do print field 1, that's print 1. If I print field 1 to 3, I'm going to print them all. 1 to 4, well, there is no fourth, but I could add a fourth. And then it'll print everything. I can do 1 to 3, and it'll just print the first 3. So that's an interesting command, cut. It lets me choose which parts of an input I want to print or print. Now, let's say I wanted to put that into a, let's take this a little step further. Let's say I wanted just the first 3 fields and I want to put them into a new file. So I have something called redirection, which is an arrow like this. And now I can make up a file name. And I can make up a file name called new file. Now, let's just make sure it doesn't exist. Yeah, okay. New file. So now it didn't print anything to the screen. Why didn't it print anything to the screen?
It's printing. You printed it into the file.
Exactly. It went into the file. So now if I do, there's a command cat, which shows me the contents. That's everything. Very good. of the file, so if I do cat new file, what should I see? What should I see?
New five.
What should be in it?
A.
No,
Nice.
ABC, because I did field 1 to 3. Now, what if I do it again, what if I do this, if I do, let's change the field that I'm delineating by, and let's change it to a B. Now what should I see? That's interesting. Oh, network error. All right, well, I lost my network. Let me go back to the slides. Okay, so. Slideshow from current. So you got the idea of a pipeline. Here, what is this going to do? This is going to do cat the file, then pipe it to sort. Oh, I should really show you that. Well, what does sort do? What do you think sort does? Sorts the file. What does that mean? If the file has many lines, it's going to sort each line of the file. So if the file's lines are like some complicated words, so it's going to be, what's going to be the first line? Whatever starts with, let's say, an A or a capital A, like A and then B. It's going to go by the beginning of the line, but if there's 2 lines start with an A, then it'll go to the next line, like you would in a dictionary. That's what sort does. Wait, I want to go back. Let's go back to the. Let's see if I can get back here. I think I actually go like this. Can do restart session, but now it's going to ask me to log in again. Okay, and now.
How does sort work exactly?
So let's take a file. How can let's make a file ourselves. What can we do to make a file? Well, I can do like this, echo. Hello. Into new file. Now, if I do that again, and I look at the file, what do you think is going to be in the file? It's just going to be 1 time there. You might think it'd be 2 times there, but it's not. So how do I get hello to be there twice? Well, I have to use 2 arrows. 2 arrows means append. 1 arrow means overwriting. So if I do hello, so if I do, let's say now hello is in there right now. And let's do apple. Apple's is out of order, right? And then let's do another here, let's do pear. Let's do hello. And let's do what's a good fruit, kiwi? How do you spell kiwi? Okay, so now if I do cat the new file, I see hello, apple, pear, kiwi. Now if I do sort on the file, sort new file, it prints it in sorted order. Apple being first, and hello being next to each other, because they're apple because they're equal to each other.
How would it work if you have more than 1 word in each line?
I do have one. I have the same word hello twice in the file.
No, I'm saying if I have apple and pear in the same line.
Oh, so that's not a problem. Let's try that. Echo hello world. So now we sort the file. Hello world comes after hello because just like you know, I don't know, let's say apple comes after add.
But if
Because add has a G later.
would it sort the words?
It's not sorting the words, it's sorting the line. The line is treating the whole line as a word. So now let's see about something else. Let's add something else here. Oh, I see. Okay, hello world. Let's do add echo pair. call it echo, again, echo parent. So now let's cat the file again, sort. And that's sort, let's just cat the file. So you see the two pairs at the end, there's some hellos in there, there's a hello world. What if I do like this? There's a thing called unique. Unique on the file, new file. What goes away?
The immediate repetition.
Yes, very well said. Immediate repetition. Notice that the hello did not go away. Only one, there's still two hellos there.
The two paths.
Can anybody think of how I could get the true unique? Like, and it only compares the line to the following line. And yet, and therefore only pair went away, but I want hello to also go away. How could I do it based on what we saw?
Sort unique.
Exactly. So look what I'll do. I'll sort the file. And then I will pass the file into unique. Now, I don't write again new file. I just write the word unique. Because it's gonna take now, since I didn't write a file on the right side, it's gonna take the output of the previous command as its input. So now if I do it, I see hello has gone away, only one hello. The hello world is different. The pair has gone away, the apple's gone away, so I have only the unique lines now. So that's kind of like true unique.
How do I get rid of
I didn't change the file.
true unique without sorting?
Can't. Basically, you can't. It has to be sorted first, and then you
Even
can.
though I want it like a certain order.
What?
I want it in a certain order and not.
There's a command, I think there's some command like. I don't know, maybe -u, is that true? Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I just guessed, and I think I got it right.
What does you do?
Well, you tell me what it does.
It's in the same order than it was in before.
No, look at sort without that flag.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but now it's sorted already.
What does -u do?
Sorted unique.
Unique. It sorted it in a unique way. So you could do it in one command, but you can also do it by pipelining two commands together. Yeah, there's more than one ways to sort a file. And now let's do another thing. What about word count? There's a nice command called word count. WC new file. Look at the output here. It tells me the name of the file, but it also writes these numbers 8, 9, and 51. What does that mean?
I'm there, 51.
8 is the number of lines. There are 8 lines here. 9 is the number of words, because notice that hello and world are two different words. Because they're separated by what we call a word separating character, like a space or a tab. And so therefore there's one extra word here, and the 51, anybody guess what the 51 is?
Characters.
Characters. Now I can do the following thing, I can say like this, WC minus L. What do you think that does? Benny, you're on a roll, let's see if we can stumble you.
I don't know.
What is minus L? What does minus L do?
Takes away all the lists.
Oh my god.
No,
Okay.
come on.
Tell me how many lines there are.
How many lines?
I just wanted
You need to
to
call the
Benny's
phone.
look out for Benny's.
I just wanted to someone else. to
See, notice it printed me 8. What do you think? What do you think C will be?
Appreciate the assistance.
Benny, what do you think C will be?
Characters.
Very good.
C.
Good. And what do you think will be for the number of words?
Windows.
Tap W.
W, not window, W. We call that letter W, not windows.
You call them minuses or dashes?
Shoot.
Happens.
No, that's not, oh, you call either way is fine with me. I call it a minus.
Straight line across the screen.
It could be a dash is better, but I call it a minus.
Dash is super. From
Okay, let's continue with the slide. Let's see what's else there in the slides.
I think that's what it is called.
Okay, so we saw the example of hello and echo. Here, let's see some more examples here. Here's look what I did here. I did echo, first of all, I did cut on a file. I can write a file name. Notice I can use cut two different ways. I can say cut and then the field separator is a 1. Sorry, no, give me field 1 for this file. Now, what's the field separator? We didn't specify it, so the default is the tab. Very strange that it's a tab. That's what it is. Not space. Now, if I do echo, now here, that's with a file. It's the same thing here. If I wouldn't write a D over here as a delimiter and just write nothing, it would also be a tab. But this particular echo string that I gave it is A:B, and I meant the colon to be the separator, so I did minus D colon. And then I did minus F2, which means field 2. So it's going to print for me just the B. Here, ABC, this is the example that we saw. Then I can do ABCDE, cut minus D, and look, I can do 1 to 3, comma 5. Now, if I don't like to write minus D, I can write the long version, which is minus output dash delimiter equals, and then I can specify what the delimiter is. And no, I'm sorry, and that would not be the output delimiter. That would be delimiter. I could do minus delimiter. But output delimiter. Look what output delimiter is. It's how I want you to print it. What delimiter do I want you to have when you print it? See, notice. This is not going to print the colon, right? What's the default delimiter? What's the default output delimiter? Space. Here, maybe I'll do another example. Let's do another example. Let's say I have echo A, no, I didn't spell echo right. Echo A colon B colon C, and I do pipe this into cut minus delimiter colon minus and then I don't write any, no, and I write minus F fields 1 to 3. So that's interesting. It prints out, it doesn't use space, it uses whatever delimiter I gave it was. But I can do like this, minus, whenever your flag is not a single letter, but a whole word, then you use 2 minuses. Output delimiter equals, and now I could do space, and now I put in ABC with colons, and I got ABC with spaces. You see that? I printed the echo ABC with colons, separating them, but I changed the output delimiter to be a space. So when I printed it out in the first example, it just kept saying whatever it was. So that would be like a way of changing, let's say, a comma separated file to a tab separated file, or so you can have in Excel, you can save a file as a comma separated values, right? You know that? Comma CSV.
I wanted TSVs.
CSV is comma separated value, but if you want to change it to tab separated values or space separated values, you want to get rid of the commas, you can run a command like this. It's very useful for manipulating files, right? You have a file in this format, you want to change a file to a different format. It's useful in computers because a lot of times you have a certain program requires input in a certain format. Or a certain API, you're communicating with another server, and it needs to get the input in a certain format. So you need to be able to change from whatever format you have it to another format. So these are formatting kind of commands. They're very useful. Let's continue in my slides. Yeah.
How would I use integer character as my delimiter?
As your output delimiter?
Yeah, I want to print each one on a new line.
Well, let's try it. Let's try it. So let's try like, I don't know if this will work, well, let's see. No, it just takes whatever, it doesn't know return lines, there's no way of doing that. It, look, what it did, just printed backslash n, it doesn't try to interpret what I have. It didn't even give me an error. The backslash n was just fine with it, whatever I wanna write there, it's gonna write. I write like, whatever I write, it's just gonna take whatever I write. There's no doesn't seem to be any special things I can tell it. We'll see, there's another command awk that will let you do something like that. AWK, I call it awk. Most people like to call it AWK. I think awk is better. Okay, here we see the space, and I printed the order in backwards order. Is it going to affect the way it prints? We already saw that example. No, it's going to print to ABC just the same. If I do ABCD, cut minus D, F 2 minus. So the minus means until infinity. So it's going to print from the second field D until the end. Benny, don't talk to me. Output second and every later field. So here, now here's a different case. Look at this. Echo BC ABCD with no spaces. So now I do a cut, not with a delimiter. There is no delimiter. There's nothing delimiting these things. So I do a different kind of thing. I do cut and then character. C minus C is character. Character 3 to 4. So it'll print out C and D. 3 and 4. Yeah, not 3, 2, 4. 3 and 4. And there's one, character 1 is A. There's no character 0. So that's using cut, not with delimiters, but with okay. Here we saw, okay, now here's a little introduction to some shell scripting, which is a language that you actually can use on the terminal. In the terminal itself, you have this. So for example, I mean here, just to show you, I can say here, I can say A. I hide this. I can say A equals hello. And now watch this. I say echo. Now if I write echo A, what's it going to print?
Hello.
You make the terminal like really big,
Yeah.
Same in text.
like super big.
Can use dark.
And yeah, the text, not the window.
Yeah, dark mode all the way, go super big.
That's black. That's black all there is.
I just want to be about this.
Free Shabbat.
Like 64 font.
Well, I can't make it too big because it won't fit on my screen. I need to have some space.
Beautiful.
Echo A. What's it going to print?
No.
It's just going to print A. It doesn't. It just thinks it's an A. How am I going to print hello? I have to say $A. $A is the symbol for variable A. Now you may have seen dollar if you took the course in computer architecture. You saw also that we use a dollar to indicate a register or a variable essentially. This is a variable. So you see that the dollar is like a kind of, also in other languages, in PHP, I believe they use a dollar. In a lot of languages, they use a dollar to symbolize a variable. What if I do this? Echo A. What is this going to print? What is this gonna, what about this?
Hello. I know, it's
Hello.
gonna-
Not a good plan.
Empty space.
Oh, I like it.
Not a good plan.
Hello, A.
Tusk, right?
Yeah, I use Unix. Got it.
It's gonna print nothing because,
Oh.
why is it gonna print nothing? Because it's looking for a variable called AA. How can I tell it, no, I want you to print variable A followed immediately by the letter A. So for that, we have a special symbol.
Spacebar.
That, no. Yes, close. I don't want a space between it. This is a special symbol is, you never heard of the white space language?
Oh, yeah, I know what it is.
Actually, anything with white noise.
You can print out the code of any program you want, and nobody can decipher. If you print it out, if you print a hard copy of your code, nobody can read it.
You save it in the printer.
You do.
You save ink on the printer. So here, watch. So look, now it printed what I wanted. See that, Benny? Hello, A without a space. If I did this with a space, that'll obviously work, but that's, so space for sure tells it, but I don't want that. I want this. So you see that we have this is like defining my variable.
And if you did AA in the parentheses, that would also be that.
It doesn't like that.
I think-
Okay. So there's some examples. So that's what we see over here in this example here. You see A, hello, and then AA works, hello. I didn't explain what I just told you guys. I'll explain that later. What about this? What's the difference between this and this? Let's again try this example out. Let's go here. And let's say I do echo $A. What's it gonna print? Hello, because that's the variable. But if I do it like this, then it's just gonna print me the literal, it's called the literal string. We call it the literal string. In other words, I'm telling it, do not interpolate. That is the word. Do not interpolate.
Interpolate, ooh, that's a good word.
It's a good word. Do not interpolate.
It sounds like a made up word.
It does?
It sounds made up.
I thought it sounded like something you do with coffee or something.
Actually,
I percolate.
Anyway, that's
the two.
it just prints the string literally. What if I do like this? Echo, here, let's give you another example. If I do echo $A, what's it gonna print?
Nothing.
Oh, it's
What?
different dollars, hey.
Hey,
It should just gonna print $A because I'm telling it. The backslash is a special meaning. It means I don't, it's called an escape character, right? I don't mean the normal meaning of the dollar. I mean, I want $1. Now, what if I put this in quotes? Same thing. But what if I put it in single quotes? It's just gonna print the literal string. He doesn't know what I mean. He doesn't try to interpret it. It just says, you want that? I'll give you that. In other words, so we're seeing the difference between single quotes and double quotes is that single quotes do not perform interpolation. Well, then, or you could say do not perform interpretation. You could say that. It's kind of.
Oh, love to see it, love to see it.
So let's go back to the current slide. So here, that's the difference between A and A. So here's a more precise definition. Single quotes and closing characters in single quotes preserves the literal value of each character within the quotes. A single quote may not occur between single quotes, even when preceded by a backslash. In other words, you can't print a single quote inside of single quotes. It thinks, why? Because it thinks that's the end of the string. And even if you put a backslash in front of it, it's still gonna think it's the end of the string.
And what did that backslash do? Just.
It doesn't do anything with single quotes. Here, we're gonna see that it's useful in the double quotes.
Does it get printed out?
Yeah, it'll get printed out.
How do we do quotation marks?
No.
It'll also be a compile, if you have two, it depends, it'll be a compile error. If you have back, I believe that'll be a compile, I think I have an example of that. Well, this one is not, no, if I would have, you see, I don't have an example like that, but what, I think what you're saying is like this. This will be a compiler error, echo, backslash. You see, it didn't like that. You see that? Look at that, it didn't like that. Because it didn't even give me a new line. Because it's got a single quote and then it's got nothing after it. I don't know, if I do that. See, then it kind of understood. Now you see what it did? Look what happened. You saw what I did? It went up to the next line and then it said, well, I'm still waiting. Because I wrote backslash, I wanted to do like this, I wanted inside a single quotes to print a quote, a single quote, and that's why I backslashed it. You can't do that, that's what it's saying, you can't do that, so what did it really see? It saw a single quote, and then a backslash, so it prints a backslash, it wants to print a backslash. And then another single quote, end, fine, then it saw a start of a new single quote, and there's no end, so it waited. So I typed W single quote, so then it finally found the end, and it printed the backslash that I got and the W.
Why is that two separate lines?
What?
Why is that two separate lines?
Well, look, because look what I did, because I wrote like this. And then I hit enter. And it's
Yeah,
saying to me, you didn't finish
you
yet.
just write like one like double quote, like it will just, it'll give you another line.
If I just write like this,
Cool,
because it's like in the middle, it's waiting for me to finish.
gotcha.
Okay. So let's go back here. So what do double quotes do? Enclosing characters in double quotes preserves the literal value of all characters in the quotes, like A, B, C, D, there's still A, B, C, D. With the exception of dollar, it's not gonna print me dollar, it's gonna say $A, so $A is gonna take the value of it. Also, with the exception of of single quote and backslash. The character dollar and single quote retain their special meaning within double quotes. The backslash retains its special meaning only when followed by one of the following characters. So the backslash, it could be treated as a backslash if you do like backslash A, it's just gonna treat it as a backslash. But if you do backslash dollar, quote, double quote, or backslash, then it'll treat it as a special thing. Within double quotes, what's the special thing? Backslashes that are followed by one of these characters are removed, so you remove the backslash. Backslashes preceding characters without a special meaning are left unmodified. So let's try an example. So echo. But if I do,
Backslash A.
but look at this, you see, backslash A just prints me backslash A, but backslash, what's it gonna do? It's gonna remove one of those backslashes. So that's what it's saying, it removes the backslash. And that's what it says on this slide.
I thought backslash A was actually an escapable character, just the alarm bell interval.
Yeah, well, also, what about,
Meaning it's not supposed to print out anything.
also there, N is for sure, right?
Like, why is it not being escaped?
Because it doesn't work like this, because it's only limited, because you can only put a backslash in front of certain characters and have a special effect.
Right.
And that's what I'm listing over here. I'm listing them. Here. Only these ones, dollar, single quote, double quote, and backslash, not all those all those ASCII, you're thinking of ASCII characters, no, you can't put ASCII characters there. If you want a new, how do you get a new line? How do you get a new line in the shell? No, that's what I'm showing you, you're not gonna give you a backslash, it's not gonna help you, how do you get a new line? Echo.
That's it? What if I wanna do it in line?
What?
Wow.
You want it inline?
If you do echo
See?
tech
Look.
E, if you do echo tech E backslash A, then it actually does escape it as an alarm sequence in terminal. What do you do? That's not nice, fucking.
I'll do it. But anyway, you see how I did it? I got a new line.
But again,
I can type something like, you know. Hello, rhymes with yellow.
we should hello for like 4 days.
And now I got hello world and a new line. You see that, parents?
Yeah.
I got a new line. That's one. Now what Tusk is saying is, notice I put a semicolon there. He says echo minus E. And then,
Oh, it doesn't.
oh,
E is for events. So if you do like backslash A.
it didn't like the exclamation mark, minus E. Here, hello, fine. So then it will, and you know, and then.
Oh, it's for a state, it's for a state. No, not interpolate.
But the D, it doesn't take special because there is no D,
Yeah.
and it behaves the normal way. So. That's a special flag of E, which I'm not expecting you guys to know, but I'm just talking about how the quotations work. Quotations work according to what is written here. These are the special things that the quotations treat. Okay, let's continue. So here's my examples. This is obviously gonna print. You see, I backslashed the $A. If I would have done quote $A, it would have printed me the value of A, which is hello. But it didn't. I did backslash $A, so it just gave me $A. And then I did single quotes with the backslash, it's gonna print me that. Double here in double quotes, in order to get the same thing, I gotta do backslash. Because it's gonna remove one. And then if I want to actually print a quote inside of quote, print a double quote inside of double quotes, I gotta do a backslash on the double quote. So that it knows that that's not the end of the quote of the string, but that's part of what I want to print. But this will give me an error, backslash. Sorry, quotate, double quote, backslash, double quote. Why? Because again, it's missing the ending quotations. Now I can also do the following thing, A equals and then a command. In other words, let's try that again. So for example.
Oh, sorry.
If I say. A equals cat new file. It doesn't work, right? What if I do this? What if I do this? What's this gonna be?
Oh, it's string.
What?
Now it's reading it as a string.
Now, if I do echo. $A, it's gonna print me cat new file. But what if I want the A to be the contents of new file? So there's two ways to do it. I use a new character that you probably almost never used in your life, which is the backtick. It's not the single quote, notice it's called a backtick.
Ooh, backtick, I see that.
It's on the upper left-hand corner. And now watch, A, look at that, A, well now if I print A, let's do print echo A. Hello, apple pear, hello, kiwi, you see, it's the content, I ran the command cat file. And the output of that command went there. For example, if I would do A equals WC, what is it gonna be? What's gonna be an A?
15 word counts.
Oh, what that?
8951. And then the word new file, because that's also printed by WC. Whatever that can, so I can put any command I want. And then store the results of that command in a variable. I can also put it in a, yeah, so that's pretty useful. Now, there's another way to do that same thing. You say, why do we have two ways to do the same thing? I'll explain that later, but you can also do it like this. For now, just understand that I can do the exact same thing in the following way. If I again print A, I get the same thing. So there's two ways to run a command and put the output into a variable. One is with backticks, and one is with this unusual thing, $parentheses. Okay, let's go back to the slides.
Question.
Yeah,
Does it store the command in the variable or does it store the output?
the output. Okay, so
So the command is run whenever I store it.
the command is not stored. The output,
The command is run.
the command is run when you type enter. So now, here's a difference between the two. It's a kind of a weird example, but there's a command called uname here. I don't really like this example, but that's what I wrote. But I'm sick of it. I've been using this example for a long time, but let's say there's a command called uname. Uname writes the word Linux.
Look at you both.
You what?
You both.
You both.
Boat?
That's right.
Let's see if there's a command like that.
Torpedoes, you're right.
No. Okay. There's a command called uname, which is like the Unix name. So this is a Linux machine, so it says Linux. I can also do uname minus A, which is the all, like give me more information. And it tells me, for example, that it's distribution 5.19.0-46. And it tells me that it's Ubuntu. And it tells me that it's an 8664 architecture. And it tells me that it was installed in June of 2023. So that's uname minus A, that gives me like information about the machine. Obviously, I can do that in a command. I can do A equals. Now, wait a second, wait, I want to, before I do that, what if I do this, I want to show you something about cat. If I do pipe cat. Now cat, if I do pipe cat new file, here's the interesting thing. If I do pipe cat new file, what is it, what do I see on the screen? Oh, I don't like that. Here. If I do that on the new cat new file, I just see the output of cat new file. What happened to the uname minus A? Well, the uname minus A got put into this pipe. And then I never bothered reading from it because cat got a file name after it. So the file name that it got after it, it says, well, I'm gonna print that file. It doesn't know to look into the pipe. But if I run the same command without the new file, then cat says, I have no file. So I will look into the pipe and see whatever the pipe gave me, and I'll print that. So
What? Get out of here.
You don't say that to the
Hey.
teacher.
That's
do
crazy.
you see that?
So what is it
You see
printing now
that?
exactly?
It's printing the output of the uname.
I thought the output of the uname was Linux.
No, that's Linux, that's without the minus A flag.
Minus A doing
Here,
what?
if you want with the minus here,
Yeah.
Minus A does what?
there, that's what you want. Minus A, I already said, I said it 2 minutes ago, that if minus A gives me more information, I said. It's that it's a 8664,
Podcat,
A is for architecture, which I asked.
so Podcat did like.
and this is the
Yeah, we
distribution,
did.
this is the distribution. This is the date that it was installed. Okay.
But Podcat.
Let's do that example again. Uname cat, and I'm just gonna print me Linux. Because uname prints Linux. But it prints it, if I do a pipe, it goes into the pipe. Now here, the pipe is waiting, I've got a broken pipe kind of, it's waiting for, the command is incomplete. So if I type the word cat here, now it finished. And now it print me Linux. Because what was in the pipe, whatever's in the pipe, the cat is gonna automatically print. It normally cat tries to print a file, but if I don't give it a file, it looks for a pipe. If I just type the word cat, look at this, here, I'll show you even more. If I just type the word cat, here, cat, it just waits. What is it waiting for me? I type stuff. Hello, mother. Oh, it printed it. Bye. And now, if I type Control D, okay, fine. It printed it as it went. It actually printed it as it went. As I gave it thing, it immediately printed it. I thought it might print it at the end, that's fine. Okay, so I want to go back to the example now. So this is a weird example. Now that we've got that background, look what I did. I did uname. And then I didn't write the word cat here. I wrote echo cat. Well, echo cat is gonna do what? It's a command, right? It's inside of a dollar parentheses. So echo cat is gonna print what word to the screen? What word there? Cat. No, the word cat. So it's gonna be uname.
Can I let you have the Zoom?
So it's as though I've written here, uname pipe cat, the word cat. Now uname pipe cat, we already established, prints the word Linux. So this, and it's gonna be echo Linux, so it's gonna print Linux. Got it? In other words, I'm concatenating. I put inside of a dollar parentheses, another dollar parentheses. So first I go to the innermost one, I run this command echo cat. And what do I get? I get the word cat. So now now it tries to evaluate the outer one. The outer one is uname pipe cat, and we already said that that's going to print the word Linux. So the word Linux is not going to be sitting over here. So now I did echo Linux, so it's going to print Linux. It's a very roundabout way of printing the word Linux, like a lot of extra work. But now look at this other example. I should theoretically this is the exact same example. Uname, and then instead of using the $sign parentheses, I use the backtick. And so I do backtick, and then inside of that backtick, another backtick, and then another backtick, another backtick. It'll say bad command substitution, it won't run. Why not? Because it sees this backtick and it thinks that's the end of this command, because it's the same symbol. This is the beginning, this is the end. And then it sees echo, cat, whatever, it's all confused. So what do I have to do to make it run like this? I have to backslash them. So I have to say uname pipe and then backslash backtick to tell it, no, this is not the closing of the first backtick, this is a new backtick string. And then another new backtick string, another backslash and a backtick, and then that would work. But Linux people find this terribly ugly and confusing and hard to remember. So therefore, they write it this way. Therefore, they invented the new symbol, which is dollar parentheses. I'm just explaining to you why there are two. If you wanted to know why there are two,
So why do the backtick then?
the backtick is the original. And then they've come up with these problems, and so somebody came up with a new version. And that's for like a new version of shell, of the bash shell.
Would you say next people or is that us?
What people who,
Graduates to Linux or something.
no, Linux people are the people who write the kernel, who work on the project called Linux. It's constantly being worked on. All right, let's go further. Here, what about this? Echo. Guys, echo foo. So echo foo is a command, and that's going to print the word foo. And then I put that in a command. I put that in parentheses, so echo parentheses foo is going to print me foo. But if I put the single quote, then remember what single quote does? Single quote doesn't evaluate anything.
Literal.
But it wouldn't evaluate the double parentheses inside of the single quote?
No evaluation.
Okay.
So it prints the exact string. So notice it's very similar lines, but this one's just gonna print it out. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about a famous topic that you may have seen before, some of you may have seen before, which is file
Can
access.
I be let into the Zoom? I'm just in the waiting room.
Oh, you wanna be in the Zoom?
Yeah, just because like, you're gonna see on my screen in there.
Oh,
Also,
how do we get up right?
is the homework submission in pairs or alone?
Alone.
Alone, okay, thank you.
A file, so. Here, I wanna talk about something called, what some people call file permissions. The correct term is file access mode. And it's the mode of access, like what type of access. So let's do an example. Shy, don't talk to your neighbor. So we have a file, right? I don't know if I'm gonna be allowed to change it in this machine. You might not give me permissions, but let's try. If I do ls -l on new file, I see that there's a file called new file. It's got all this, it's got an R and a W here. The R stands for read, the W stands for
Right.
and the thing that the little minus sign after it here is it means that there's nothing there. What would have normally been there? An X. An X stands for
X is the first letter. X.
is not X. But
X and Q.
so this file is readable and writable by the owner. And all the other minuses, actually, how many minuses are there? There's one here, and then there's 6 more. Why 6 more? Because there's 3 and 3. And I'll just talk about the last 3. The last 3 are the rest of the world. So the rest of the world, in other words, people who are not the owner of the file, have no read-write permissions to this file. They can't read it or write it or execute it. The owner of the file, however, can read it and write it. So for example, let's see if I can change it. There's a command called change mode. And let's say I wanna do
Minus
Schmod.
user, which is the owner, user is the owner of the file. Plus, let's give it executable. User plus X, that means give the owner of the file executable rights to the and change mode, ch mode means change the file access mode, change the mode. So change it on which file? On new file, and whenever it's silent like that,
Sorry, what's used for user?
U stands for the word user, but it means the owner.
U is for you and me.
Okay, so it's what's U, G, and E or something? Or
U, G, and O, other.
other.
Benny, you're my main student, you gotta pay attention.
I'm your main student.
I have a big responsibility.
What?
Today we have all been.
Okay, look, guys, LS, let's look at the file again. Let's look at the file again, LS minus LRT or L. Oh, I gotta do on the new file. New file,
Everything? Who, me? Yes, you.
look what happened, does everybody see?
I can't. see.
Look over here, you see that?
Oh, no, it doesn't matter.
It got executable.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's do it back.
Now what,
Okay,
now what if I do change mode user
No, you're gonna take.
minus X?
Take
it away.
Wait, what if I do
Let's go.
minus, wait,
What
let's do minus
divided by X.
read and minus
To the power of X.
write,
Oh, what happened? Uh-oh.
and now let's look at it,
You get.
and there's no access, and let's do cat new file and permission denied.
No.
Because I took away my own rights to it. But since I am the owner of the file, I can give myself back rights, so I can do change mode user plus read.
What are you pressing when you go into the line? Like when you edit the middle of the code?
It's just telepathy.
No, because I always have to delete everything.
What?
I usually have to delete the entire code up to that point.
Arrows.
Avi, just get it.
Arrows.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
I go up arrow, Avi, give me the previous command, then left arrow, and I can move around.
Down arrow.
So wait a second, now we added user read, and now let's try catting the file. Look, Benny, you with me? Cat the file, I catted it.
So I gotta give over the rest of
No. First, I think motion, you think, when God was talking to motion said, wait a second, God, I gotta tell everybody.
Well, first you wanna tell me to get out the.
Yeah.
Then you remember to information that you're receiving.
Address.
So he's both a flower and a god.
Yes.
Flower and god. Are you the flower god?
Maybe. Okay, what about now, Benny, let's see if we can give it, let's see if we can give other people read permissions. So let's try O. O is for other people. Let's see if this works. I don't know if it's gonna work. Because this machine doesn't let people do what they wanna do. It did, it seems to have done it. See the R?
Oh, it worked.
And I can do, let's do like this, all. Benny, with me, A stands for all. Now look. Look, we got 3 R's. Because I did A stands for all. So what are the 3 R's mean? The first R means the owner of the file. The second R means the group that the owner is in. If the owner is in his own, in Ubuntu, if you've installed Ubuntu, then every user has his own group and he's the only member of his group. So it's kind of pointless. But sometimes you could have a group with many people in it, and then anybody in that group would have read permissions. And the R means people even not in the group. Anybody on the machine who has an account on the machine can access. So let's do A plus W. And we look at the file and we see the W. And let's do A plus X. And now we have all those things filled in. The first minus,
Middle.
notice read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write. I explained.
What's it read right? The first one is for the user.
The first one is the user, the last one is other, and the middle one is group.
So when you put an A, it was for all three of them.
Yes.
So how do you do just the group?
Oh, how do you do just a group? We didn't see that. You are a good student. So let's, here, let's take away. Here, Benny, take away some of these. Let's take away execute and read. And now let's look at it again. And you see, I took it away. How do you do just the group? So can anybody guess?
G.
Very good. Let's do G plus read.
I think do that.
Now look, you see that the read is in the middle. Now let's say I try to cat the file now. I suspect that it could be that I'll be able to print it because I'm in my own group. Let's see. Let's see, what do I wanna do? Cat. Cat new file, permission denied. Why not? I'm in my own group, but because the owner is specifically excluded, that even though I'm in the group, I've been removed. Because I specifically said the owner shouldn't be able to.
How do you remove?
So it doesn't help, even though I'm in the group, I should be able to print it, but I can't. Because it wanted to give you that option. If we wouldn't do that, then there'd be no way of saying I want everybody else, but not me. So now we have a way of doing that. And if I want to give myself a shot, I just go, what is it, user plus read. And now I can cat it. So those are the permissions. Now, this is a very cumbersome way to deal with the groups. So actually, there's a shorthand way of doing it, which is, if we look at the file again, we see that there's read, write, execute, and this W can either be a minus or a W, right? Can't be anything else. And this R can either be a minus or an R. It can't be anything else. So we can actually think about it as 0 or 1. 1 meaning it's R, and 0 meaning it's a minus sign. And same to with everyone. So actually, it's like I have a binary value here of how many digits? Well, 3 and 3 and 3. So the maximum value of a 3-digit binary number is 7. So if I want to give it all permissions, then I can just go like this. Change mode 777. And then if I look at the new file, I see that they're all lit up. And if I go 7 1 1, what's 1 1 going to be? Just the third digit. So just 0 0 1. So it's just going to be X. So let's look at it. So now it's read, write, execute, and then XX. The other people. Okay, so that is all. That is all summarized. I summarized for you. I mean, I did by example all the things that are on this slide. The slide summarizes it. Okay. Here you see the access modes, and here I'm explaining the second way. I explained it with the change mode 711.
Wait, you could do the whole bits like that?
No, I don't think you can. As though I wrote this. It's like I'm saying. I don't think that would work. No, that would not work. I'm just writing it as a conceptual idea.
I can conceptualize that.
Yeah, this 111 is like the 7, and then I don't think you could write that. I mean, I believe I've tried and you can't. So now here, we mentioned this already. Actually, I'm gonna take a minute, 2-minute break here.
Yes.
Recording. Okay, so if we go back over here, let me show you something.
Wait, how long for the break? Yeah.
That was a 2-minute break.
Do we still get the break at 55?
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. If I do if I do cat, well, let's do a command, uname. Look at this here. Uname minus new name nothing. Or yeah, new name minus A. So it prints out, as we saw before, it prints out a whole bunch of stuff about this about the architecture, about the machine. So I can pipe that into a file. Is that clear? Right, we saw that before? Did we see that before? You. Now, if I look at the file. Cat. File. I see the output of the command. Cause I redirected it into the file. Now. Watch this, watch this. I go like this. Oh, no, sorry, backwards order. The output still comes to the screen. The 2 seems to change the redirection, but if I put a 1 here, then it goes into the file. So again, let's look at the file, cat file, it's there. And if I do 2 into the file and I do cat file, a file is empty. Why is the file empty? Because I wrote nothing into the file. Why did I write nothing into the file? Well, obviously the output came to the screen, it didn't go into the file. What's this 2 and this 1?
Error?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, it is error. 2 is the standard, it's called the standard error. 1 is called the standard output. And 0 is called the standard input. In other words, if I write a 1, then I'm saying like this. Take the standard output. The standard output is what normally would go to the screen. But instead of putting it on the screen, direct it into this file. So that's why I don't see anything. But when I do a 2, I'm saying take the error messages and put them into the file, but there are no error messages. But what if I type, for example, something like that? There is no flag like that. Now something did go into the file. And let's see what happened into the file. Because the error message went into the file. Let's do cat on the file. And it says invalid option H. There's no -H. Try uname -- help for more information. So that message was not sent, even though I saw it on the screen, it wasn't actually, but the program that sent that message, which was obviously the command uname, which is a program, the program uname sent that message not to the screen in a normal way, not to the standard output, but to the standard error. Now, if I type that command, uname, and I just type it regularly, I'm gonna see it on the screen, because the screen is both the receptacle for standard out and standard error. It's the receptacle for both. But I can redirect either one of them. This is extremely useful if I have a lot of commands that I'm running and I want to keep track of all the error messages and I want to keep track of all the outputs in 2 separate files. So for example, I don't have it here. Well, for example, let's go to the slides since this is good. I can log in again. I can log in again. No, okay. Say restart. Restart there.
Sorry, what is that there?
Well, my screen just got killed.
Love that.
So let's go back to our example. If I do the following, uname -H, and then I do 2 into log file, let's say. My log file is where I have my errors. And then 1 into file. So when I run this command, no matter what happens, something's going to go somewhere. If I type it with -H, it gives me an error. If I type it without a -H and it gives me something good, it's going to go something good. Now, the problem is that I overwrote one of these files. So let's change it. Yeah, I think I can do that. Let's try this. If I do double, then it appends. So let's do that, and then let's do -H, and then let's look at the files. Let's see what we got. Cat log file, and it gives me the error message because I did it one time with an error. And then let's do cat file, and it gives me Linux. I did it 2 times without an error. So I can, you see, I can redirect with 2 the standard error to someplace and the standard input with 1 someplace. And that's what we see summarized in the slides from current slide. So here, standard input is is actually, we didn't deal with that, but that's the keyboard. 1 is the output, 2 is the output to the error messages. Okay, we saw that here. So cat file to other file, cat file 4 to other file with a pen. This is a sort of outdated, but you can do arrow. It's called bang actually, but arrow, they call it a bang instead of a exclamation mark. Arrow bang me in TC shell, in different shells we're not using.
Goodbye.
In that shell, it forces to overwrite. And then look what I can also do, cat file into other file.
Sorry.
That puts everything from file 3 into.
Okay. So here's the example of redirecting standard error, and you see here I did cat file. Either way, I don't have to write a 1. Its default is 1. So I just do cat file to output and then 2 into log file. I can also do like this, cat file, which means the file will come to the screen. But the output, this is saying like this, but send the redirect both to a file. If I write an ampersand, it means both. So in other words, if I had written cat file and then just written 2 to a log, then the file, if it's there, would be printed, and if it's not there, and there's an error message, it would go to the log. But if I do cat ampersand arrow, it's as though I wrote both of them go to output. As though I wrote 1 and 2 should go to the file out, which means either or. Either it's whether the error message or the regular messages, they should all go into this file called out. Redirect the standard error to the standard out. Then redirect the standard out to a file. So here, I'm saying like this. First of all, I'm saying redirect this output of the cat into this file called out. And then 2 arrow ampersand 1 means take the standard error messages and put them into not a file called 1. If I just wrote a 1, there would be a file called 1. If I write ampersand 1, it means the thing that the standard output is going to. So the standard error will go to the standard out. So it's another way of doing the same thing. This is equivalent to this. In fact, this is shorter, but this is maybe more clear if you understand what we're talking about. But this is saying to the standard error message should go to wherever the standard output is going. The number before redirection tells it which output to redirect. Right? The ampersand tells the redirection to go to a file handle instead of file name. That is to treat the 1 as a handle and not a name. In other words, as a reference to a file and not a name of a file. 1 could be a name of a file. I have to say ampersand 1 to say it's a reference to a file. It's called a handle. Okay. Now we're talking about something we actually mentioned before called file globbing. Yes.
What if I put a 0 instead and put it into the input?
It wouldn't be allowed because the input, the keyboard is opened as a read-only file, so you can't write to it. It's like a file. The keyboard is like a file, which you can read from, but you can't write to. So it would give you an error. I don't know exactly what. I never actually tried it, but it would give you some. It would either it wouldn't work or it would give you an error. It should give you an error. All right, the shell can expand certain wildcards to match multiple file names. It's called file globbing. Use these symbols, basically just 2 symbols. And they are star, which means 0 or more characters. That's an infinity number of characters. So if I write, for example, ls core star asterisk, it means anything that starts with the word core. It could be core 1, core 2, it could be core breakdown. It could be anything that starts with the letters core. It's a wild card. But I could also do a question mark. A question mark means exactly 1 character. So for example, ls program question mark dot c will match program 1.c or program v.c, but it actually won't match program.c because I'm saying there must be a character there. Exactly 1 character. If I would write star there, then it would match program 1, program v, and program, but it would also match program or program habitat, anything. Now here's the interesting case. What if I can also put the star, and here I did the star at the end, I go to the star at the beginning. So this means match any file, but it must end .h. So any file that has the appendix .h, or whatever you want to call that, the suffix .h. Now here is a weird one, because dot means the directory above us. So I'm saying like this: match any file in the directory above us who ends with a .h, and can be anything. Anything as long as it ends with .h. So any file ending .h in the above directory. I can do that with ls. Okay. That's called file globbing. And now we're coming to our favorite subject of all, which is regular expressions. And regular expressions, for understanding it the best way, is actually using a very valuable website called regex 101. I don't know if it's, I think it's .org. I don't know what it is. Let's see. .com. Okay. So here is very nice. I can put like I can put a string here, for example, hello world. And I can put a regular expression here. Whatever I type here, it will tell me if it's a match. For example, I type W, that's the most basic regular expression, just a letter. So it matched because there's a W there. But if I type X, no match, no blue, nothing came out in blue, there's no X there. What if I want match any letter? So I can do like this. A to Z. What? Why is it red? I don't know. Anyway, what it's I did A to Z in square braces. I don't know if you can see that. Can I make it bigger? So A to Z in square braces, it matches every single letter here except the space. Notice the space is not color because that's not a letter. But it changes the color just to indicate that it's a new match. So technically it matched many times. It found a letter many times. Now if I would do like this, A to Z, but I want Dafka plus 3. Ooh, no, I think I gotta do like this. I gotta do like this. Oh no, I gotta do. Oh, well, see, I don't remember. Let's look at the slide. Yeah, and it's not plus 3, it's just 3. Here, it's just 3 here. 3 comma. What that means is I want a word that has at least, I want 3 letters in a row or more. So it's only 2 matches, hello and world, because this is 3 letters or more, in fact it's 5 letters, and this is 3 letters or more, in fact it's 5 letters. It's only considered 1 match. Why don't you say it's many matches? Why don't you say it's HEL is 1 match, ELL is another match, and LLO is another match? You see what I'm saying? Why don't we say that's 3 matches? The answer is because regular expressions are what's called greedy. Greedy means that it tries to get the largest match that it can. You may have heard of such concept in SQL in the database, but you want to find the largest matches. So the largest match of A to Z would be hello. Why not the whole thing? Because there's a space in the middle. What do I want to include a space? Let's see what I can do. What if I put a space here? Oh, I put a space there. So what it's basically saying is any single letter or space 3 or more times. So it gave me 1 match now. If I get rid of the space, it's 2 matches. So this is called a multiplier. This parenthesis, this curly braces 3 is called a multiplier. There's other multipliers. Now, what about this? What if I put a star here? Star is also a multiplier. Star is not like the glob star. It's a different star. This is saying match. Look at this. Look, it says match 1. Look at this. Match 2, empty string. Match 3, world. Why is there a 3rd match there? Empty string. 5 to 5.
What was our circuit number?
It was A to Z. It's a single letter, A to Z, but a star, which means 0 or more times. So we have it hello, it's 5 times, and we have world 5 times, and here we have it 0 times. So be very careful with your star, because if you do something like that, you think it's not gonna, like, basically, if I have this string with just spaces, I have a match. In other words, this is a very dangerous thing. The star is very dangerous in irregular expressions, because here I expected not to match this line, because I was looking for something that had a letter. But there's no letters here. What do I have to do instead of using the star? There's the plus symbol. The plus symbol means one or more matches. What time do we finish here?
We have a little bit of time. I mean, what time tomorrow, guys?
Oh, wait, we have a break.
Oh, right, I forgot. Daylight savings.
Oh, we're kind of finished, actually. Oh, yeah, we're kind of finished. 6:45. Yeah, alright, well, so we'll stop, so we'll pick up, actually, we went a little bit slow, I did a little bit more detail than usual. Cancel, we go back here. Yeah, so we'll have to pick up next time with regular expressions.